What's up, everybody? I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday as I continue my Ask Me Anything About My Travel series with today's topic. And I took a couple of days to think about this one, and I really wanted to think about what direction I wanted to go with this series. And I got a question about family, or where should I go? And I'll take a step back. Where should I go, and how do I start travel? The world is so big. How do I find one place or choose one place out of the entire world to go visit? And that's a very, very good question because there are so many different places. And of course, I just spoiled it. And my answer is to find your heritage. And that was such an extremely beneficial and impactful part of my own experience, as being able to follow my family lines and get to experience what they might have experienced when they lived there, or just even interact with the culture a little bit and unlock some things inside myself. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of what happened to me and hopefully get you guys on the road to the place where you came from. It's cool. It's a really cool experience. And the first one, of course, was the entire trip itself was built around the idea that I wanted to go back to Germany. My mom was born there, and my grandparents immigrated here when she was really young. So I got a dose of that growing up. They still spoke German to each other. The home, my grandparents' home, was really built like a German home with a lot of different, knickknacks and things, and very pristine. I didn't exactly know what I was looking at when I was growing up, but I now definitely know why everything was a place, why we were eating the things that we were eating there. And it was just it was a very completing experience. And here's some examples. So I get to Germany and immediately notice that all my relatives are really tall. Now, Germans are really tall in general, but over here, I was the tallest one in my family. Even my uncle from my German grandparents' side, he's really tall too, but I was a little bit taller than him, and I'm taller than all the rest of my dad's family. So I'm like, where did my height come from? This doesn't make any sense. And I always wondered that for a long time until I got to Germany, started meeting some relatives, and said, oh, this is why. Because I definitely was not the tallest person in my family. I was pretty average. I was actually pretty average for the country as a whole. So you start to see things in yourself of where you come from, and it starts to make sense. Even the German culture, or the Germans immigrated to the U.S. quite a bit throughout U.S. history, and the Midwest especially was a lot of the places where Germans in I would even say east of Germany into Slovakia, Slovenia, um, Hungary, all those countries, you can find communities here in the Midwest. So it was really interesting to see German culture and see the parallels between that in Midwestern culture, like saying thank you, saying danke after lots of pretty much everything is really common in Germany, and even it, which is or even if here's a really good example, a good tie. When you can't hear somebody, instead of saying like, oh, what do you say in German, you say bitte, which is please, a direct translation to please. And in Cincinnati, where I grew up, is the only city in the U.S. that also says please when, or what more widespread says please when when you don't hear somebody. So there's direct ties to German culture in the U.S. and you start to think, oh, wow, okay, this is where this comes from. This is where I come from. And it's a really enlightening experience, especially when you get to talk to people. It's like talking to people that you've known or from back home, or talking to your old grandparents, or even my mom sometimes. And you really get to see why you act the way you act and what influenced your life, which is an extremely powerful thing, because the more you understand yourself, the more you can really either direct yourself into a place that you want to go, or know how you're going to react in certain situations, which is all super interesting. And that sort of leads into the next part of my heritage is my grandfather, my dad's side, was Jewish, and I didn't really get to know him that well. I've just heard lots of stories because he died when I was really young. And then I went to Israel, and I noticed just a lot of the tendencies in myself, as in just how people interact with each other. So Israelis don't mess around. I don't think in Middle Eastern cultures mess around. There's no fluff. It's like get to the point. Like, let's do this. We got stuff to do. I want this. I want that. Give me the money. I'm out of here. Whatever. But there's also a really deeply caring part of that culture as well, even if the surface is a little bit rough. They really do care, and they could tell you how, you know, you're taking too long in the line, what's wrong with you, like this should be a simple task, and then invite you to dinner and house you for a week. That's just the way it is. And I sort of notice that in myself as well. Sometimes I'm a little bit impatient with people, especially when they don't get it right away. And I'm trying to work on that in myself. But also I notice that in the Israeli culture or Jewish culture, I would say, because Israel is now made up of a lot of different communities, including some from my area where my line of Jewish heritage grew up. And it's just super funny to see how that reflects on myself and be like, okay, maybe this is why I react these ways in these situations, and maybe why other Americans don't, because we are all hodgepodges of immigrants coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, interacting with each other. We might be extremely different and live in the same neighborhood. So it was such an eye-opening experience. And not only that, I felt really connected to that part of myself and my heritage and my grandfather, who I didn't really get to know, but I felt more like I knew him. And I felt almost his part of me in myself, which was extremely rewarding. And now, whenever I do react that way, or I do interact with, or just like react to things a certain way, and like, oh, well, yeah, okay, I kind of see that part of myself, and I see him in me as well. And it's super interesting, especially in America, because we do all come from different places. Unless we are Native American, we immigrated here, and we've mixed, and tons of different cultures have come together into forming who we are. And it's interesting to also go abroad, because you can find quote unquote a home, or some place where you feel extremely comfortable outside of the US, sometimes even more than being back home. For an example, it was Scotland for me. It was also Israel, and it was also Germany. But Scotland, I do have some Scottish heritage. And like the other places, I found little pieces of myself there. But it just felt so natural to be there. It just felt like home, like things clicked. I understood what was going on. And the language definitely helped, had a leg up over a place like Germany, which I probably would feel even more connected if I knew the language better. But Scotland, just as soon as you got there, you could just understand it. It just felt right. It felt like you clicked. Like it just clicked with the culture, with the place, with everything else. And that was so just enriching, empowering, and it felt, you just feel more worldly. You feel like you have options. You see where your line comes from and who you are. You really get to see who you are from the pieces and from the places where your old relatives and ancestors used to come from. So amazing. So my challenge is, you guys, if you don't know where to start traveling, or you just, yeah, the world is a huge place, and you could go sit on a beach in Thailand. You could go skiing in the Alps. You could go to New Zealand and hike more mountains. You could go to Argentina and learn tango. You could do all kinds of stuff. But if you have no clue and you're just paralyzed by the paradox of choice, follow your heritage, and you'll be super surprised about what you find. Even if it's a small rural town in the middle of nowhere, you'll be really surprised about what you find. So that's it for me for today. I hope you guys start planning your trip soon, because yeah, travel is exciting, and it will. This could change your life in multiple ways. So get after it and go find your heritage, guys. If you have any more questions, of course, write them in the comments. If you want me to more elaborate on some of the stories and things that I found while doing this, go ahead and write those in the comments as well. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great Thursday, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Once again, more questions, more videos. So keep them coming. Even if you know me, text me, call me, chat about what this means to you, what's going on in your head. I would love to hear you guys' perspective on what I'm talking about. And yeah, let's keep on building better lives together. So have a good Thursday, and I will talk to you guys soon. See you later.